We have one more award to present this evening, and then we hope you'll stick around for a little while and enjoy dessert and coffee and congratulate tonight's honorees. It's like the Vanity Fair party after the Oscars. Our final award goes to the 2017 Federal Employees of the Year. This team's accomplishment is a great example of how our government safeguards the environment, protects consumers, and holds deceitful people to account. Their story has all the intrigue and heroism of a New York Times best-selling novel. And speaking of best-selling books, our next presenter has a shelf of them. At least he does in my house. He's the author of The Blind Side, The Big Short, and Moneyball, to name just a few. If you haven't read the books, you've likely seen one or more of these in the movie theater. His works reveal the backstories of what goes on in baseball, on Wall Street, in American football, and in a presidential election. Please welcome to the stage Michael Lewis.
This is way more efficient than the Oscars. I assume most of you have heard about Volkswagen cheating on vehicle emissions testing. As you might imagine, the company didn't actually volunteer this information by itself. Volkswagen admitted to cheating only after Phillip and Byron at EPA and Josh Van Eaton at the Justice Department led a painstaking investigation and made the company's guilt abundantly clear. Their work began after researchers at West Virginia University discovered the scheme, and then this trio led teams at EPA and DOJ to build a rock-solid case documenting flagrant violations of consumer and environmental laws. Byron directs the EPA office that conducts tests to ensure compliance with the law and help nail down the details of the violations. Phillip leads the EPA's Air Quality Enforcement Office. Josh is a Justice Department trial attorney and took charge of the civil litigation. Together, they worked with numerous federal and state enforcement agencies. After lengthy negotiations, Volkswagen was assessed the largest penalty ever levied against a car manufacturer. The company agreed to pay $17.4 billion, including $4.3 billion in civil and criminal penalties and fines, for doctoring more than 500,000 vehicles to evade pollution regulations. This huge settlement funnel unprecedented resources into programs for reducing air pollution and to compensate drivers who bought the rigged VWs. The federal inquiry also helped lay the foundation for multiple indictments against senior Volkswagen executives. Let's hear from Phillip and Josh about this highly motivated team.
I want my children to think, well, my dad worked hard to make a contribution. He tried. He was pushing for what he thought was right. And to me, that's the great thing about the Department of Justice, about EPA, about these kinds of jobs. A lot of times we're just asking ourselves, what's the right thing? What's the right thing to do here? So we had a major automobile manufacturer decide to cheat, decide to avoid requirements of the Clean Air Act. That pushed us forward into an intense investigation, an intense interaction with Volkswagen. Quickly, there was put together a team, both at EPA enforcement offices, EPA regulatory offices, and the Department of Justice to look into this.
The Volkswagen case ended up being what I think we could fairly characterize as perhaps the largest fraud ever committed on a U.S. regulator, certainly the Environmental Protection Agency. In the end, we got the largest civil penalty against Volkswagen that we've ever gotten in the history of the Clean Air Act. This case was a total team effort. It doesn't happen without an incredibly motivated and qualified and capable team of public servants, period. These people are motivated by something greater than themselves, and they poured themselves into it at all hours of the day and the night and weekends and holidays. I think the sacrifice comes from common purpose, really, and then that purpose is greater than any one of us. It's about doing what's not just good for you personally, but what's good for the country.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please join us in congratulating the 2017 Federal Employees of the Year, Phillip Brooks, Byron Bunker, and Joshua Van Eaton.
Thank you very much. I understand we only have 45 minutes for our remarks, so I'll try to move through this quickly. Firstly, I have to say it's really humbling. I'm not sure why we came last after all the people I saw. Yeah, it's an incredible group of people, and it's an honor to be here. I want to thank the Partnership for Public Service and the entire Sammies team. Thank you for this recognition on behalf of all the federal employees. Thank you for your dedication to recognizing the importance of public service. Sponsors, I want to thank you for your support of the Sammies and for making this event possible. Our other Sammies winners, all of the finalists, your work and accomplishments are awe-inspiring, and we're honored to be associated with you. We have our honored guests here. We have former Assistant Administrator Cynthia Giles, who was my boss. We have John Cruden, who was the Assistant Attorney General who led us through all of this, and by the way, has been my mentor forever. We have with us some distinguished guests from the Environmental Protection Agency. We have our acting deputy administrator, Mike Flynn, and I really appreciate showing of the flag here. We have the acting Assistant Attorney General for the Environment and Natural Resources Division, Mr. Jeff Wood. Thank you for being here. Finally, I'd like to give a quick shout out to some of our partners on the state side, the California Air Resources Board. Those folks did a lot of work on this. They're the ones who took that information from the West Virginia researchers and had the first insight that there was a problem. And so hats off to CARB.
For those that know us, it should come as no surprise that we have more to say than the rest. We have a lot of folks to acknowledge, including Judge Charles Breyer and the settlement master, Robert Mueller. Judge Breyer for keeping the parties focused on addressing the environmental harm, and Director Mueller for his firm and steady hand guiding the settlement negotiations. Many might question the motives of a DOJ lawyer who heaps praise on a federal judge, but all of our settlements have already been approved, so I think we're good. And of course, it should be obvious why I would want to stay in Director Mueller's good graces. We'd also like to acknowledge our colleagues who prosecuted the criminal case at the same time that we were working on the civil resolution. And of course, as everyone else has acknowledged, this wasn't us, this was a team. We had an amazing team of hardworking and dedicated public servants from EPA, from DOJ, and between our three offices, we have a list of over 50 names of folks who contributed mightily to this effort and who all worked equally as hard and are equally as deserving of recognition. But we've been told that 50 names is too many to list. So I would like to mention the following three individuals who partnered with the three of us through this entire case. From the Office of Transportation and Air Quality, Lee Cook. From the Enforcement and Compliance Assurance Office at EPA, Evan Belzer. And from my office, my partner and my friend, a superb attorney from the Justice Department who worked side by side with me from the outset, Bethany Engel. And finally, as the video mentioned, we spent a lot of hours on this. And our families are the ones that also contribute to the effort because of that. So I'd like to acknowledge my children, my son Oliver and my daughter Hazel. They sacrificed many hours with me. I missed a lot of soccer games, baseball games, dance recitals, and the like, and they never complained once. Instead, they just said, "Go get Volkswagen, Dad." And so I appreciate that. And to my wife, Catherine, who's here with me this evening, thank you for your unwavering support and for filling all the gaps that were created by the long hours and the frequent travel and the never-ending stream of issues that always had to be solved immediately, no matter what time of day or night. Thank you.
My daughter Alexandra and my son Spencer, I do this job for you. And to my wife, Margaret, thank you for the support. Thank you for the understanding. Thank you for understanding the late arrivals, the no-shows, and the sometimes less than cheery disposition.
Well, I don't want to miss the chance to thank my wife, Amy, and my daughters, Austin and Madison, who have been tremendous supporters throughout this time. And Phil and Josh and I spent a little time thinking about what we could share about being a federal employee and about being chosen as Federal Employees of the Year. And something that would say what stands apart for us, what's unique about what we've done. Is it the long hours? Is it the innovative approach? Is it the dedication to mission? And frankly, we looked around at our team and the other work the Department of Justice does, the other work EPA does, and all the honorees here tonight and the other nominees, and realized we don't stand apart for being unique. We stand representative of a federal workforce that's dedicated to mission and cares. So we want to say thank you to all federal employees and to the partnership who has done so much to recognize everyone. Thank you.